ordenado van Silva. Pode envolver Di Maria, o que faz Di Maria. A pinta vai para o golo. Espetacular Di Maria.
How's it going? It's been a long time.
Good to be back.
Friggin' ages. It's been a while, eh? It's look at this. We got Zachariah, member for 26 months.
Wow.
After all those months of no Benfica. No Benfica after 90, I mean that. But yeah, we were getting a shitload of messages, to be honest, on various DMs. I know me and Joe were talking about a while ago. Obviously, thanks to everyone that's been dropping those messages. Boris, Nelson, Zach, everyone on here. I appreciate you guys tuning on as always. But yeah, life's been friggin' busy.
It's been a lot, and like I think I mean I'm just saying, Mario. You said it before. I think Jake might have mentioned it in the chat, in our like group chat.
Oh, look, this guy's never joined Benfica after 90 before.
Look at that.
Who is this?
My cousin's in the chat right now too.
There we go.
What a Hugo.
Who is this? Who's the Vin?
I don't know who that is.
Vincent Unic.
Oh, Vincent. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm trying to.
it
looks like he's got an eagle in his
in
background.
Yeah,
I wonder if he's a Sportingista. I don't know. Mario, you know who this is? This is that guy who's a Portista that follows us.
Ah.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe I'll jump right into this. Why are we gone? Okay, so Luigi is out in Lisboa right now. So for those 21, enjoying the good life at the moment. So he's been doing a lot of traveling. If I was to summarize, maybe I'll do like a 2-minute quick little summary of life and everything, if I could. Many years ago, I'm trying to remember I should look up when we got together and did this, but it was Dylan, Alex, and myself kicked off Benfica after 90, and then after a lot of time us goofing around, life just got busy. Dylan, had many other things going on in life, and then we had Luis come on, and then Joe came on. Everyone else kind of slowly built up. And Alex last year got really busy with life. He had his wife was pregnant, changes at work. Obviously lots of dedication on the home front, and it got tougher for him to kind of pop on. And it's funny. He's like, I think the number one guy that like DMs us like, oh, we got to do a show. And then it's just like stuff goes up in life. Right. So, and then for Luigi, man, the one thing I'll say is he was always here quite often. There was this ongoing gag about like, we're doing a show at like 10 p.m. at night, our time, Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
And it's like, I remember the one time, one of the old shows with them, it's like, oh, look, it's sunrise in England. You can see it out his window. He'd be up all night. He was an animal. But is the one thing I want to say for good news is Luigi has received a lot more stability on the work front. Things are going really well for him. And so it just gets tougher to do these all-nighters. And he pops on whenever he can. He still does a lot of his streams, which is the time zone. Like by the time he finishes work and does some streaming, I think the three of us are still working here in Eastern time zone, right? And then myself-wise, it's just been chaos between work, family life, a bunch of other things, absolute anarchy. So we're going to kind of retool a little bit, figure out a game plan. I think this is always made in a sense of like being a show for Benfiquistas by Benfiquistas. So what I got to figure out is get more copies of the keys made is what I need to do. So that way anyone wants to walk in the house, they can turn the engine on and broadcast a show. So for anyone out there that's interested, that we've had lots of guests in the past, lots of people that DM us, let us know. I got to get Jake a pair of keys and, clean up, Joe for all the times he's been on here. So I got to get him the Gmail keys. So that way you can access the code for StreamYard.
Yeah, I finally need to get it.
I'm going to do a show. I'm like, all right, you go for it. There's like, I can't fucking start without the login. I'm like, shit. So that's been that one, right?
I'm just a guest that's been trailing around for about a year and a half.
And then the honest truth, as Luis put it, we're just all lazy as fuck.
I
But
mean,
yeah, it's
hey,
been.
he said
And
it.
also, I will say one last thing. I'll say is I watched a lot of matches at the very, very beginning of the season, but since then, this I think is my worst season since pre-Kiki Flores in terms of missing matches. Like I was thinking in my head, the last time I've missed so many Benfica games, it's been chaos at work, a lot of travel, a lot of good stuff, but like I have missed a shitload of matches this year.
It's been like, and even for, I feel like one of the things in general, I feel like with, especially with work, I'll find myself missing a lot of matches, but I record them all, so it's easy to just catch up on them later. But even then, I was just saying before we hopped live, like the Toulouse match. I granted it was just this weekend, but I still haven't gotten a chance to watch the first half. Even if we were losing, even if we played like shit in the first half, I'd always get around to watching it. But this year, it just made it a little bit more difficult. But today was the best game of the season to watch. So
yeah, we said early in the morning. We talked about it yesterday. We're gonna do a show today, no matter what. We locked it in. We announced it in the morning. Schmidt got the message. Oh, these guys are actually going on. We got to show up. They get vicious with the Sharice, how they hang out the Sharice. They want to get.
He was going to get the Sharice if he didn't change the damn lineup. So
Yeah,
I'm glad he changed the starting 11.
Yeah.
So it's been good, man. It's been good. Jake, you're replacing me. No pressure. Oh. I'd like to say that's a tall bar to hit, but Luis isn't that tall, so you should be able to.
That's true. Yeah, I've heard. He's
ricochet
been...
shots left and right to Luis today.
I love this guy, man. He's living. He can take the shots because he's living. He's somewhere in Lisboa right now having a cafe. You know what I mean? He's living his best life right now.
He's at the Cologne, and he's had one too many aside.
If this guy was at some back alley in Reading in England where it's raining, I wouldn't be taking shots of it. Quit the ding, playing that song. Yeah.
It's winter, so he's probably like he has like a cold and his internet's about to go out, just miserable.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's loving life right now. So, shows. What do you say? Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mario. That's other news, other life news.
Other news. I've lost like over 30 pounds. Put it that way.
Wow.
Yeah. So
nice.
That's been fitness revolution.
Your face does look a lot slimmer. I could tell.
Yeah, it's I was gonna pretend as if I have like some illness and I'm dying and that's why I've been gone, and I was gonna put on a whole show with it. Really shave my eyebrows and stuff to show up, but then like my wife would yell at me, probably like just it's not a good look for work and business. So no, it's been I'll say that much. Also health kick. That's a good thing. And then one other excuse is kids. I love my kids. Kids are getting older.
Good excuse.
A lot more activities. It's good. Like just the amount of shit I do with the kids on the weekends and during the week and stuff. It's good. But yeah, it's been going good. And Boris just funded us for the next 12 months. So
there you go.
We're good to go. We're good to go.
What
I gotta figure out is I think that I gotta figure out where that shit goes because I think Alex is the one who set that up ages ago.
What currency is that, by the way?
It's a new cryptocurrency, so that's actually like I think the equivalent of what, like $70,000 US, right, Mario?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah, that covers Mario's salary for about what, half a season?
There we go. Keep it busy. Yeah. It's I got Luigi on accounts payable for all the financial advice. She messaged me the other day. Feels like sleeping with Salona. Oh, there we go.
It's because of the Cynthia comment.
My God. There we go. You moved because he was up in northern regions.
No way.
Not Norway. Where the fuck Sweden? I think it was Sweden. Bulgaria now.
Sweden.
Just taking out Eastern Europe bit by bit.
Oh no way, Boris.
There you go. Fucking. I hear it's nice, man. If you go a little bit further south, I hear it. Like it's been like the whole. If you keep going further south, you go to Croatia and all these other parts. I know my geography's not the best sometimes, but like I keep hearing that's like the new spot that everyone keeps hitting up and things of the sort that they want to.
I think Croatia's a bit closer to like Italy, Greece.
Yeah. Bulgaria's like still further up, right?
Summer. Yeah.
But I've been hearing a lot about like Croatia. That's a whole. I don't know why I got it in my head because I know a few people from Croatia. They just keep ranting about how much fucking changes that they've had out there, and it's beautiful. It is, but.
Here's the money to buy Luigi a haircut. Oh God. Oh, this is great.
All right, first 10 minutes, classic Benfica after 90 starts, just shit talking the whole way through. So let's get into it. Let's maybe what I'll do is I'll share the screen. I haven't done this in ages, so I gotta I
missed this.
This cranking sound of the entire thing breaking is let's go with goal point. Goal point's a decent enough group, right? Here we go. All right, awesome. We got definitely an interesting lineup. Jake, you want to read it out? You want to be the announcer today?
Oh yes. All right. So should I start from the top or from the bottom? What do you guys
From the
prefer?
back. I mean, you're a keeper.
Whatever
Come
personal
on. Where else?
preference
Yeah,
is.
true.
I don't
I'll
know.
start from the
You just tell
keeper.
me if you're a top or a bottom, and we go from there.
Definitely top. Anyways, starting off in net, we have Trubin. No questions there. That was not surprising at all. Moratu back at left back. I was expecting that after after Carrera's performance in the Europa League. Roger didn't seem too convinced with him in the back. Otamendi center back. Tommaso Ruju on the right. And Ba on the right center back and Ba on the right. João Neves and João Mari in the middle. João Mari moving into the middle from the wing, finally playing a position that, where he'd be a bit better. Thiago Vey on the wing, as well as David Neres with Rafa and Tankstead up top. So, yeah, a few changes there in the lineup. I was a bit surprised with the starting 11. I was actually happy to see the starting 11 because, it's about time he makes some changes. Roger hasn't been the type to really change the 11 too much throughout the season. And I feel like there's definitely some players that needed some rest. So,
And and I think that the one that probably surprised me the most was, if Nance didn't start today, I mean, he was gone in the summer. Like, I think that was just a guarantee. Was Antonio Silva. I was kind of surprised, but it turns out, I guess his Abu died, so that's why he didn't play today.
that was the reason. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that was the main reason. But I mean, like you said, Jake, 6 changes from the Europa League disaster class, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So, I mean, I think Moratu starting was probably the only thing that I was like, meh. But at the same time, you have to remember, we haven't been on since the transfer window ended, but that Alvaro Creators, like, one of the big things about his transfer is that his loan, I should say, is it becomes mandatory. Like, we have to buy him if he plays over half of our games. If he starts over half of our games. So every game he doesn't start, especially towards the beginning, you don't want it to be a situation like Griezmann where with Atletico and Barca, where it got to a point where he was only playing literally the last 29 minutes or whatever the minimum was.
They didn't want to get shotgunned
to trigger the clause.
Yeah.
But like now, I mean, he just started, and I think it's probably 1 or 2 more games, or even 3 or 4 more games. But he's going to get to a point where we could start him through the rest of the season, which is ultimately what you want, is to be able to start him, have him play well enough where you can buy him if you want, but it's not mandatory. And I think that's the big thing too, because we still have Giroud's back, but there are a lot of players that are halfway out the door, right? But we haven't officially gotten rid of their contracts, so hopefully the Direção and Kuikoc, they're kind of cognizant of that, and not just throwing around money, because we've done that and it hasn't worked.
Yeah, the other thing I would say is if you look at this starting 11 and you think back to this time last season, it's a lot of change. It's and I don't know if you could deal with that every single season, but originally when we kind of talked about the season, we're only losing Gonzalo Ramos and obviously Grimaldo we're not renewing, but we're kind of had to build upon last season. But the reality is, it feels like we've had to revamp this whole squad as the first half of the season's progressed. Like, it's not been the prettiest first half in the limited games I've seen at the end of the day. And it's still been that struggle, that discovery to find a striker, which is unfortunate. But I don't know, man. Today I felt good, man. I saw this lineup. I like the fact that Rafa was not the main solo man up front. I don't like that idea. I know we played that in Europa, and again, I didn't see that full match. So my understanding from everyone I've heard, I've not heard one positive thing outside the fact that we won. But yeah, no, it's but hopefully at the end of the day, you just get the wins. When you struggle, when you're not doing well, you kind of find a way to persevere, stay in the running, stay in tournaments until you figure your shit out. And I see a lot of negativity about this club, but the reality is yes, we're top of the table, but it's because of the canceled game at Sporting. Let's just assume Sporting wins their match. They're ahead of us by a little bit. But if we beat Sporting, like, we're in the title race. Porto's dropped more points. They pretty much are.
They're done.
They're done. It'd be a miracle.
And Zaidu just got ruled out. He tore his ACL, so he's out for the season. Not that he's like a star on their team, but like, it's just they've actually had a season where they're not getting lucky, right? They're not scoring that many goals, and that's the one thing you kind of always could count on Porto for, is scoring goals. Yeah. They've scored, to put it into perspective, Benfica this season in the league has 52 goals, right?
Yeah.
Sporting has 58, playing 2 less games, which is a pretty big deal. And then Porto has 37. So we have 15 more goals scored than them, which is crazy to me. And 1 less goal conceded. So it's like, all things considered, it's just not their season.
Braga's got 44 goals.
Yeah.
Total game is just 35. Like, they're Like I would say,
Oroka has 35. Oroka has scored 2 less goals than Port.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Granted, Oroka's
Wow.
also been kind of like one of the surprise teams of the season, but I
Still,
digress.
she only sent 33, right? It's a few goals behind, not much. Like it's like they've been the saving grace has been the goals against. They've been able to keep a lot of clean sheets. Nick the results need to get it. It's kept them like semi in the race, but they're so far back it'll be tougher for them. But I'll be honest. Look at Sporting. The way Sporting plays, they play beautifully. They're doing amazing. I think they're well run at the moment as a squad. I think Ruben Maria is doing a lot of magic. So we just gotta keep focused, do what we got to do, get the win against Sporting when that match comes up. And I know we're skipping ahead a little bit, but we're gonna have an opportunity very shortly. Not in the league, but it's almost like a prequel. We're gonna have this crazy gauntlet. So maybe we'll touch on that in a bit. Maybe we'll go back to this game here.
One of the things I was going to say about Sporting, Mario, is they said it on the Benfica FM podcast, and it was great. And I've seen the clip a ton of times on Twitter. I'm pretty sure I retweeted it a couple times too. So feel free to check it out there. But Ricardo was like one of the main guys on Benfica FM. He brought up the fact that when you watch Sporting, first of all they're playing with crazy confidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone has watched a Sporting match this year, pretty much every single match they have. There have been very few where they haven't. So more likely than not, if you've seen a Sporting match, they played well. But even their bad players like Ishgayu, who has been the laughingstock for Sporting fans for the last year and a half, right? Like he was kind of like a Chiquinho-esque before Chiquinho did what he did last season. He's playing great. And they were making the kind of the analysis as to last year with Benfica, that was the same thing. You have Chiquinho, who's a mediocre player playing phenomenally. João Mario, same thing. Great season. Like you had people outperforming expectations. This season, you have phenomenal players, and it's the opposite, right? And even we can talk more. I feel like one of the things we probably should talk about today, just because it's been brought up by a couple of people already, is Di Maria and his impact on the team. And I think today, maybe I'll hand it over to you, Mario. But first half, obviously 5-0. We're crushing it. Best performance of the season so far. Maybe the Inter one in the Champions League was comparable for their first half, but overall, far and away one of the best performances of the season. Then Di Maria comes on for Rafa in the second half, and we kind of let out our steam. Yeah, I don't know if you think it was his fault or just overall. We played much better in the first half. Was it because Di Maria didn't start?
I would say Neres came in with such fire. It's just a completely different type of player. The one thing I would say about Di Maria, and it's a kind of an item we all said early on, love the guy, extremely talented. He's one of the reasons why Argentina did what they've done. He has amazing world-class talent, but at his age, you can't play him every single match, and we've pretty much played him every single match. And as the season's dragged on, you've seen him slowly drag down a little bit. I was excited I love the guy. I think he's still, if you look collective beginning of season to today, and again, I'm saying this missing a ton of matches, but if you look at who's assists, who's gotten goals, and you rank your top 3 players, he's going to be in the top 3. And that's with him underperforming recently, right? So hopefully Schmidt finds a way to get him a little bit more rest, get him a little bit sharper, having Nadish light it up. There we go. It's not going to say the same thing. Bring him on. I would definitely say the opposite. I think he's still one of the best talents we have. That's the reality. He might be off his game the last little while, but if the guy gets some rest under his legs, gets a little bit of fire, I think he could still change matches when he lights it up. And there's so many times all of a sudden he'll dribble, do something really cool. But there's no reason I think Neres should be on the bench, especially after a performance like today. No chance at all.
So I mean, I don't mean to interrupt. But Di Maria wasn't signed. We didn't sign him to play him every single game. He was signed to be that guy. Yeah, he'd start, but he needed rotation. Obviously, injuries weren't a part of the plan. We had a lot of injuries, and like Neres was supposed to be that main replacement. Yeah. Him and Di Maria were supposed to be on and off with each other. So losing Neres for almost half the season sucked. And I don't think Roger had enough confidence in Gouveia. But even though every time he would come on, he'd light it up, and the fans would see that. So it was kind of frustrating to see that, but it's good to see that everyone's back now, or almost everyone is back, and we could have that rotation, and Roger's starting to get that trust back.
And
And
also,
he did that.
Are there any
showing a lot.
injuries? Are there any injuries right now? I'm trying to think. I don't think there are
Burnat's
any.
still out. Burnat's still.
Oh
injured.
well, sorry, I don't
Yeah.
even count him. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're a PSG low, Nate, in all seriousness,
Yeah.
good shout, Jake, because I had forgotten about him. That was
Yeah,
something like a
that's
couple weeks
the
ago.
Honestly, I
need
think
of
it's just him, to be
stimulation.
honest, because Tankstead's back now too.
Yeah,
Tankstead's,
and
yeah, I think
Bob's
it's just
back.
him then.
Tankstead's
Yeah,
back. The whole
Yeah, we have everybody.
Cristiani thing, where supposedly he was injured, is fake news because he was on the bench today and he was in
Yeah, he was
training
on the
this
bench.
week. So
Yeah.
that turned out to be kind of fake. For the A team, there are no real injuries, which is like really when you're looking at this run of games. I'm glad Roger finally did it because this was the turning point, right? Because you have Europa League midweek, you use your same starting 11 as always, and then this was the match that you could say, first of all, for two reasons. I don't know if we want to talk about the Toulouse match already, but it was just an utter disappointment. Everyone was saying, even the pundits, at least here in the U.S., were like, I was surprised that Toulouse did this well. You look at Toulouse in the league, they've been pretty much a massive disappointment. They had that one win against Liverpool in the Europa League at home, which again, that was at home. They got blown away when they played at Anfield. Shocker, right? But the whole point is we're at home in the Europa League against a much inferior team. We should have smoked them, and we didn't. And not only did we not smoke them, this wasn't a Farense game where someone did some brucheria and the only reason we didn't score 15 goals was because of that, right? Like we didn't even create that many chances
No, we did not.
score. We didn't. It wasn't even that.
I'm looking at so this is funny enough. Again, I'm going as a person then watch the match in full. If you got 58% possession, Toulouse 42%, 27 shots to 6 their shots. So my understanding from everything I've read and heard is the shots were mostly off target, nothing dangerous. We get control of the ball, we move up, and then we had nothing creative up front. Like really, it's a lack of a striker. And then I remember when I saw before the match started, I took a look at the lineup for the Toulouse, and I saw, okay, we're playing without a striker because Cabral came on. Or did Cabral start that match? Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe he did.
Yeah.
He did.
He
did.
start.
Yeah. He did.
Cabral came on against Gimenez.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was, I don't know. It's one of these things where we kind of have struggled to get that attacking rhythm. But I'll say this much. Looking at the schedule, we got to get the result now in France. And whether it's a draw or wherever it is, we should be able to do this in advance. Hopefully the fact that we rotated so much gives us a good position. I see in the chat that they beat Monaco, but maybe they played.
Yeah, they beat them away today.
Yeah.
But again, and that's like, could that be a good thing? Could that be a bad thing? Right? Did they exert themselves so much today, or is it a momentum thing? Like those types of things can go both ways, right? So it's tough to read into it, but clearly, right? Like they were in terrible form when we got drawn to them. But since the new year, they've won some games, they've tied some, they've lost some.
They're figuring it out.
Yeah.
I still think it'll be an absolute disappointment now. Speaking of Luigi, we're poking fun, but he's marked out a trip to France. So he's going to be at the Toulouse game. He's confirmed tickets. So that's going to be exciting for him. I do think the way Benfica played today with the rotation, I think the team's going to be fired up. They want to advance in Europe. I think we're going to advance in Europe, and I hope Schmidt against Portimonense at the Luge after this weekday game does against some rotation. So that way when we face Sporting, because we got like a bit of a gauntlet now. Like if I start going down the schedule, next.
That's what I was going to say.
So, okay, we got Thursday, then Sunday. Then Thursday, Taça Portugal, we're going to Sporting, Alvalade. Then a few days later, Sunday, we're going to Porto. So
Yeah.
And then you kind of will insert a Europa League match in there. I'm pretty sure you'll have the next match, assuming we advance from that point onward. So I'll be in between there with obviously Shriel, Casapiga, and Shabs. So we'll have that going on. And then we get Benfica versus Sporting, Taça Portugal at home, Benfica versus Sporting for the Liga. So it's like this is that, we always talk about pivotal moments in the season where you have like a 1 month period or 30-day period where if you do what needs to be done, you can be looking at a quarterfinal appearance in Europe again. You can be top of the table. You've been going to the finals of the Taça Portugal or this semifinals or quarterfinals. I can't remember now.
This is semi. Double two legs, semifinals.
So semi. So this is that period of the season. You can be like, great, we're marching towards titles and some European glory, hopefully, or everything fizzles out. Right. So this is a critical moment. So for us to have the victory we had today, I know Vizela is a tiny team. It's, they're not highly ranked and they're not doing the greatest this season, but it was also their biggest loss this season, I believe, against Vizela. To get some of the cobwebs out, get Nerj kind of back, because that was a fear. He comes back, but he's not fully sharp and he's coming as a sub. The guy needs to play, right? for him to get a full 90, pretty much, I know he got something like 9 minutes, but to get a full game, and the fact that he's technically coming off injury and he's been kind of on and off playing, I'm assuming he should have a lot of life in his legs right now. And we need that in the second half of the season.
I want to make one more comment.
ahead,
I'm
Jake.
sorry. I want to make one more comment on today's lineup. I had written down here that starting Tankstead, he provided a different view as a striker. When Cabral's on the field, he's more of a target 9. When you have Tankstead or even Marcos Leonardo on, they come back and they tend to leave more space for Rafa to run. I don't know if you saw it, if you guys had noticed, Tankstead would kind of leave more room for Rafa, and Rafa would have more room to kind of drive forward and create. Instead of having Cabral as that just static target 9.
Yeah.
I think going into Thursday's game, starting, I'm almost convinced Cabral's going to start. I'm 85-90% sure Cabral will start anyways. But starting Marcos Leonardo and having Rafa behind him could be something that could work. And one last thing is, I think Neres needs to be a starter from now on. If he's having 2 goals and 2 assists in a game, coming back playing a full 90,
he's fired up.
No, he didn't even play a full 90. But he's fired up. He needs to start.
I'd say put
Yeah.
Neres. I'd say put Marks also. Start.
One question, Mark. Are you able to pull up the lineup from Toulouse just so we can kind of compare? Because that's a good shout, Jake, is to kind of think of the, you look at today's lineup, we had 6 changes from the last Toulouse match. Then looking forward to exactly, right? So, like, you look there, Credage obviously didn't play, Antonio and Frederick, so those are 3 right away. Coxu was suspended with Florentino today, so that's 4. Then you have Di Maria, who started on the bench, that's 5, and Cabral 6, right? So 6. First of all, just to kind of mention one last word as to how impressive the first half was today, changing things up. And actually, I kind of do want to talk about this for a second. We can leave this up, but when you look at the changes that were made from this lineup to today's lineup, right? To me, it excites me for a couple of reasons. One, because Neres, like Jake just said, right? This is a non-negotiable. You have to start him. João Mario today didn't do terribly. He didn't do well, in my opinion, but he didn't do terribly, right? Morata was the only player today that I look at that said, you were piss poor, right? Di Maria looked a little tired, but even then, Di Maria didn't look awful. Morata was awful. I'll say that. But anyway, what made me excited is, one, now Neres has to start. So that's us getting one step closer to our best 11, in my opinion, right? The final 11 of the season, as I like to call it. 2, the kids that played put on. Arujo, Tomas Arujo, hell of a game, right? Thiago Vea, goal today, hell of a game.
Yeah.
Right? You can continue with Casper, his first game back since December. And I think that a lot of what we saw today was he still created, right? Like he missed a couple big chances, but at the end of the day, he was there for them. And like Jake said, he gave you a different playing style that ultimately helped the team play better. But to me, the biggest thing is then all of this puts pressure on Roger, but it also puts pressure to me on this 11, right? Like Di Maria is now looking and being like, okay, yeah, they need to play me. They need to start me. But, if I'm not putting in a good game, they're probably going to take me out for Neres, right? Which ultimately won't happen with Roger and Di Maria in this Toulouse match, showed why, right? And in multiple matches against, even when we played Guimarães, the reason why we tied, Di Maria, right? 2 assists. So, you look at this lineup, Artur Cabral, he goes, oof, Casper's back. Marcos Leonardo today scores another goal. Starts to make you think. João Mario, say less. If it's someone to start up at left wing, it's Neres. Fact. That's just a fact. Coxu saw the shift that everyone put in today. Saw also how Frederick played in the midfield the other day as well. Starts to second guess there. And then you look at the back line, it's like, okay, Antonio Silva, he feels firm, but he knows at the end of the day, next season and for all intents and purposes, everyone pretty much has a good substitute. Even Credage, the one thing I will say, Jake, I didn't see the full Toulouse match, but I doubt he could have been worse than Morata. So I think that Credage does start.
He was not Toulouse. Because you know what, going forward, he provides so much more going forward. Yeah, he's a bit of a liability. Credage.
Okay. I was like, Jake, are we talking about the same player?
No. I'm saying Credage, he provides so much going forward. Yeah. But there was times where he was a liability in the back, and I feel like that's where Roger felt a little bit unstable, and you saw that he was taken off right away. Right. But yeah, other than that, I also wanted to say, you guys notice how we started 2 true wingers today, and we actually were electric. Like you saw us on both sides of the pitch. We were playing football on both sides because typically we tend to play more on our right side, where we have Di Maria, we have Ba. We don't play as much fluid football on the left because you have João Mario, Morato. So you don't see that as much. I feel like now having two true wingers, and I don't know if he's gonna stick with that, but if having two true wingers, I feel like that's just the best way to play. But I'm a goalkeeper, you know. What do I know, right?
Di Maria plays on the left side, right side. He's interchangeable. Him and Nadish. There's no reason we need to play João Mario as a winger with the talent we have. And I understand those injuries are the reasons, but I would think that would be Di Maria got rested, so I got a feeling he plays. But Nadish, the way he lit it up and how he is, you play both. And I would actually go with the same attack with Rafa and Tank said up front. And try it out. I would say the only thing I would do differently in the back is maybe Ba did really well today. I put Frederick on the left because someone asked me. It was Greg. He made a comment. So I'd put him on. I'd put Auschwitz on the left and then put Ba on, and he's connected well with. And I got a feeling like that would be a better outcome than what we saw. And I didn't see Europa, but I kept hearing everyone said it was disjointed. And Toulouse have to win this match. It's like a draw, they lose. They're gonna have to open up an attack. So if they go to
they're at home, they beat Liverpool at home.
Yeah, but they need to open up an attack.
They beat them or they tie them.
If you have pissy guys,
they beat them at home.
Yeah, but if you have pacey guys like Nash, you got creative guys like Di Maria, you got Tangsen and Rafa up front. If they're opening up and attacking us, they're gonna expose themselves.
3-2. They beat Liverpool at home.
Yeah,
because I remember that was a crazy. It was a crazy match too, where at one point they were up 3-1, and then like Liverpool scores. Jota actually scored in the 89th. So yeah, but anyway, like my whole thing is
that kind of scenario is an extra time penalties. That's not good enough for Toulouse. Like you have to do more than that. So I do think with the pace we have, the fact that we rotated, we could take the game to them. And if all it takes is we get one goal, then their confidence is going to melt away because all of a sudden they got to score 3 to just tie it up. Take it to extra time.
Well, and so the thing for me is Greg's, I wanted to keep up his comment and then also Zach's right afterwards is like, I love Queiroz. I think that he deserves a spot. I think that when you see him come on, he plays like a top 5 league player. Let's just put it that way. You see his connection with Di Maria. You see his connection with João Neves. The passing quality is there. And to me, that's a big part of what we need to control the tempo of the game. Morato doesn't give you that. Does Frederick give you that? Yes, but I think, again, that's where you get into a situation where you start to think of, to me, this team, all the other positions, you kind of build it from the inside out, right? Whoever your midfield is, like whatever your starting midfield is, then determines the rest of the team, right? It determines where you have Frederick. It determines where you have Rafa. It determines, like, the whole team. But, again, and that's why I think it's TBD. Do we want to put someone like Koksu in Rafa's role, right, today? Regardless, like, whatever 11 we put against Toulouse, my biggest thing that we need to have that, you know, gegen press mentality and that tactic in use. You can't do that with Di Maria, unfortunately. Marcos Leonardo, even Rollheiser when he came on today, I thought he looked great. He was on for like 15 seconds, but the little that I saw of him impressed me. And I just want guys that aren't giving the ball away, frankly. That's the one thing I'll say, Mario, and even Jake. But, like, to me, that's my biggest criteria. Queiroz doesn't give the ball away, keep him on the pitch. Morato does, and he gives up penalties. Andy almost gave up a second goal today and a third. Get him out, you know?
Morato, he did great on the offensive side today, I felt, in terms of when he moved up. But, yeah, what you're supposed to do is defend. That's your primary duty, and everything else is secondary. And it's a benefit if you do that secondary parts well, which I think he did the secondary parts well, but he failed in his primary job, which was defensively. And it wasn't that bad, but the reality is against tougher opposition, you know, the fact that it was Vizela and we pretty much had them pinned in. Like, I think Turbin barely did anything until that second half. But yeah, no, it's I would say one thing for me, Morato, I guess we're kind of giving away some more Chorish, but I answered her a second. I saw that. I guess wing night it is. I'll get some wings. I'll go get Eva, and just figuring out dinner.
Sorry, but I didn't mean to cut you off there. You were saying for Chorish, do you want to do Chorish in the match for today already?
Yeah, we can like hop ahead and then we can talk about the upcoming schedule. Let's do that. Let's do that. we're kind of alluding to it, so might as well get into it, I guess. And for me, I would say the first half I'm watching, and I'm actually having no comprehension of who I'd make the shittiest of the match, to be honest. And on my side, initially in the first half, then when Turbin did that horrific giveaway that led into us conceding a goal, I was initially kind of, okay, that's my shittiest moment. But as the second half progressed, Morata locked it in for me. So I figured since we're getting into it, that'd be my shittiest, and maybe we could do like a round of turns on that side. What would you guys say?
I agree to a certain extent. I didn't get to see. I didn't see it live, at least, because I was on my way to the airport. Vizela's goal. But then I looked back and I saw the mistake that Ruben made. But then he made up for it. He saved the pen.
Oh, he made up for it.
Made a second big save. So like you said, yeah, it kind of locked it in for Morata. I feel like defensively he was not good, and that's what he's there for, because he doesn't provide anything going forward. So the fact that he was probably our worst defender out of the four today, I'd make him my shorties.
Yeah, quick for me. I think he was terrible. I think in general he's always good for one mistake a game. I've always said this in terms of Morata. Yes, he'll give you some good moments. Overall, he's good. He's tall, right? You can't teach height. Jake can tell you that one. But
I'm only 6'2", I'm not that tall, but
well, Morata. I mean, for Benfica too, you'd be pretty tall. But but anyway, like I just think his touch isn't there. I think as a center back, Morata was fine. As an outside back, and granted, I'm saying all this against him. At the end of the day, it's not his position, right? And I think Frederick, to an extent, has made us a little bit, spoiled, because he plays everyone on the pitch. Most players don't do that, right? Unless you're moving someone from, CDM to center back or something like that, or from, Cam to the wing. Certain like subtle position changes are one thing, but that outside back, center back role really isn't that similar, at least in my opinion. So Morata for me.
Yeah. I see people shutting out a few players. João Mario, I saw people online complaining about that. Fair enough. And then obviously Boris said Di Maria. For me, Di Maria is more just he came on second half, tail end of the game. We didn't have the greatest half, but I'd still say if I was ranking Di Maria's half versus Morata's second half, I'd still be more upset with Morata, to be honest.
Well, he gave that, but Di Maria did have that one crazy almost assist to Casper. Yeah. Right, he had some great passes when he came in.
He had some good plays. So. It wasn't the greatest game. It wasn't his worst game. I just kind of, for me, I would say,
meh.
Yeah, it was more.
He got that pass off a few times though. I mean, that Trivela pass from he tends to do that a lot, and I think he did it like 2 or 3 times today.
I was thinking if we have like a good attacking momentum, like if someone, that's why I would love to see Di Maria and Neres playing. If you have more guys causing confusion up front and on the wings, and it results in Di Maria getting even a little bit more space, he's a dangerous ass player. Oh. But then if you you see players harass the hell out of Di Maria. Like anytime he plays, they know he's quality. They go after him. Okay, go after Di Maria. Make more space for Neres. See what happens if you do that. You know what I mean? Exactly. I do feel like if we get those parts on the pitch at the same time, I think they'll support each other. Like if Di Maria is having a bad game because they're marking him excessively hard, he's having a hard time breaking through, it might be opening space for someone else, right? So yeah, and Tommaso Rouge was a nice, it was really nice. Today, one thing I was thinking about you, Joe, at one point, just because you're such a fan of we're all fans of the B team and all the youth players these guys been around, but the idea of like these names of Tommaso Rouge, Gouveia. I remember like 3 years ago we were talking about these kids, saying, "Oh man, these kids in the future will be so cool if they can kind of develop." And you're watching them play, and they're having a decent game, and it's nice. It feels great. It was such a good moment also to see the kid get a goal. You know what I mean? Like it just always feels good when you see these kids get a goal.
And especially him too, because for me, he had the choice this season. He had such a great loan last season with Estoril. Not to mention that he robbed points away from Port.
Yeah.
Right, and Sporting, if I'm not mistaken. But he was a phenomenal player, one of Estoril's best players last season. He had the choice this season to say, "Hey, do I want to go out for another loan?" Right, which frankly, if he was an Estoril, I think he would have made the side even better. Butterfly effect and everything withstanding, I think that it was a great decision for him, because he said, "No, this is my club. I don't want to be like last season where I'm in the stands, first row, while all my would-be teammates are celebrating the championship, the league on the pitch." Like that was my favorite part of last season. It was right below where I was sitting in the Santa Clara match, but all of them, Schmidt, everyone goes over to Gouveia in the first row in the stands and all give him a hug after they're celebrating. Yeah. I want him on the field this year celebrating. Right? Yeah. He already got the Super Tassa. He should have had a Taça de Liga. And I really hope he gets a Liga and at least a Taça de Portugal to end the year, right? At least one more trophy because he bet on himself and it paid off.
Yeah, again, this season is still shaping up to being like a magical season. There's something, I forget the stat now, and I'm blanking out. It was last week I was talking about old man, but the amount of victories Schmidt has had under his tenure, and goals he's had under his tenure, he's doing a good job. I think in this modern age, we're so quick to lash out at players and management. I don't know, man. Like Benfica the last 20 decades, Schmidt's doing a good job. I know we spent a lot of money this season, but he's doing a good job. He could be better. If we can get our footing together after these injuries, all these substitutions, all these changes, new signings, we've kind of it's very rare you rebuild a team in the winter window. But it kind of feels did a bit of rebuilding there. The amount of talent we had signed and figuring out a few positions at fullback, looking at the wings, looking at the attacking. These are critical positions you're figuring out. And hopefully you're not supposed to be figuring this out middle of the season, but the fact that you're in Europe, you're in the Taça Portugal, you're in the Liga fight. If we close it out, it'll be great. So I'm going to save my criticism for Schmidt till the end of the season. If we don't win the titles, then, you earn it. That's what you're paid to do, and you got the resources. But if he does pull it off, fuck it. That's what he did it. So we'll see. I still think we're in the race, and I don't want to be a negative Nelly bitching about shoulda, woulda, coulda kind of thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. What would you guys say for especially for Jake? Who was your man of the match?
I mean, it's easy to say that Nedes was the man of the match.
So who's your B, right?
I think we're all gonna be the same. It's Nedes. It's
Nedes. Yeah. So let's pick our second favorite player.
And then second place, Nedes. So we're talking about third place.
You're not gonna. I might get a little shade from Joe, but I think Rafa was really good today. He looked at least in the first half.
You know what? In the first half, I don't think he was that good in the first half. The second half, he did good.
I think there was moments in the first half he did very well.
Well, no, second he got taken off at halftime for 2 minutes.
I know, but still, yeah.
Oh.
So he looked better when he was off.
And I'm president of the.
Oh yeah, he did. Fuck yeah! Sorry. There we go.
So, yeah.
No, he had a good game. Rafa was gunning it. He was hustling it. I thought, kind of to your point. Thanks, Shad. Like the way he was moving about, I like that. Thiago Villa. I don't know, man. Today was just a fun. It was. I've not had this in a while. Where I sat back, watched Benfica, and it was just pure joy. That was pure enjoyment. I was just pure enjoying that entire first half. It was beautiful.
And I said it in the group chat.
Most confidence. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, no, I just said it in the group chat. Like this reminded me of a 22-23 last season. Jagan pressing. Oh, the first goal. Like I said, the first goal came from our press. Rafa's initial press, and then it led to a keeper mistake. That's how a lot of our goals came from last year. And we just, with the type of players we have on the field this season. Yeah. And with the type of players we have on our field this season, we can't play the same way. Di Maria, Cabral, they're not pressing players. So it was nice to see that.
Yeah, I think Rafa's a fair one. I would say mine is going to be Casper, mainly because of what he created. Like, yes, Rafa was the reason for the first goal, but Casper also gives the ball to Neres, and then it's blocked, and then Neres scores the first goal. But really, Casper gets the assist there in my eyes. And then also, the one that went off the post as well. It's another one you could say that he kind of gets the assist. And it's just, again, it's like Jake says, it's the way he played today. People are forgetting this was his first game back in since mid-December, I think, or early December even.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
He's been almost, I want to say, over 2 months from not playing a minute. This was his first game to play, and he started. So clearly, he's showing in training that he deserves it. But I thought he was. Did he score? No. Should he have been quicker and had one less touch on a lot of those plays? Yes. But it's the kid's first game back in 2 months. He was in all the right positions. To me, he's my honorable mention for man of the match.
Yeah. For the play of the match. What do you guys got? I'm curious.
Since he just said it, the PK save to me. That was like
the
whole first half was too good, but then things kind of started to get bad, and I was like, oh, you know what? Truven had the goal where he kind of had. If we were to have the worst play of the match, it's probably his, right? Giving that ball away, just silly with his feet. Classic.
It was great to kind of see him save it at that point, right? You know what I mean? Like it's just not that we needed it, but still, it feels good. It feels good. It regains confidence.
Yeah, no, it was exactly for that reason. Jake will probably. I'd be surprised if he didn't pick the PK save as a keeper, but for me, it was just like the team needed it. And you see the reaction of the stadium. the reaction of the stadium was like unreal. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it was celebrated like a goal almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sitting there on the couch. I was sitting next to my dad. I was like, he needs to save this. I was like, he's 6'7". If he goes the right way, he's saving it. And he saved it. And I looked at him. I was like, I was buzzing. Like I just, it's like Mario said, it's a confidence booster. It's a morale booster. The stadium celebrated like it was a goal. Yeah, so that was up there for me with one of the plays of the game. Also, I think the corner that we got, and that is assist. I think it was the second goal.
Well. Yeah,
I like that
goal.
one because we don't score many of those. We when do we ever score from a corner? So when we scored that, I was buzzing as well. I mean, I was looking at Twitter, everyone was like freaking out that we had scored from a corner. And it was nice to see that someone else can provide good service. I feel like we rely on Di Maria a lot to just whip in balls. And if it's not on with Di Maria that day, we're not getting anything. And the fact that Neres was able to do that, it was nice.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Greg here, Mario. I'm not sure what your play the match was, but
mine actually was the last goal, and the reason why to me was you got Neres had a phenom of a match. He's up 2 goals. He breaks away the way he hustles, gets the ball, and he has all the opportunity in the world if he wants to try to go and get a hat trick. And I would not blame him if he took that shot. Like, it's him. I know there's a defender on his ass, but he could take a shot and go for it. If he missed, no one would have lost it on Neres. It's a justifiable thing to do. But the way he set up Marks for the goal, I like it more. Again, going back to what you said about the keeper, the confidence booster. I want more confident boosters for our strikers. I want these guys up front. I want Casper. I want Cabral. I want Marks. I want all of them looking at saying, "Fuck, each of us are popping in goals. Who's going to be the main guy?" Like, because I'm a huge believer in competition drives like excellence, in my opinion.
100%.
And Marks is looking like an interesting player. Like, he hasn't had too much time. He's new to the team, but he's having a way better start than Cabral was. I mean, he's come on, he's had some goals, and this it creates an interesting problem. What if he does start against the French on
Toulouse.
Thursday, right? Toulouse, right?
And what if he gets a goal? What if he gets 2 goals?
Yeah, why not? Like, you put Di Maria on one side, Neres on the other side. You got him. You got Rafa behind him. Let's see what he does.
Well, see, that's the thing. And when you were talking about it, you mentioned it before, Mario. It just started making me a little loopy here. I was getting excited. Is thinking of a front four when you have Neres, who's going to pressure the hell out of the defense on every single ball. Rafa the same way, right? And with both those players, you're going to get their outside backs at least 1 yellow card. Right. Keep in mind they already have someone that got that they already got some guys thrown on yellows. Basically, is the point of me saying that.
Yeah.
But then you have any one of the strikers, in my opinion. Casper is gonna press. Artur Cabral won't press that much actually, but Marcos Leonardo is gonna press a lot.
Yeah.
And then you have Di Maria who won't. But let's pretend that it's Frederick or it's Rollheiser coming in at the end of the game. That's a terrifying front four. Nobody can keep up with that pace. And what does that mean? The ball just keeps falling to our center backs and our midfield, and we control the whole game. Like,
if that's get a rebound, let Neres clean up like he did today.
Yeah, who cares? I'm really excited. I think that today, and again, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves because Toulouse at home, they did beat Liverpool. They clearly showed in the first leg that they mean business. They beat Monaco away today, so they're in a good form right now. They're feeling themselves, but after this first half,
it's good to go in ourselves. We're going in with our heads
Joe, do you think they meant business, or do you think they just not got lucky, but it was a good day for them because Benfica had a bad day?
Well, so I think it's a combination, right? Because I think that Toulouse, I think to me, Toulouse, it's their first time I think ever in European competitions, if I'm not mistaken. But so
I think it's their first time in the round of 16 or making it out.
Or it might be. So yeah, that might be it. It's their first time in the knockouts. Yeah, European knockouts. Yeah. That's what the stat is. So the first time ever in European knockouts, they're playing against a club that has 2 Champions Leagues. Yeah. It's been in the quarterfinals of the Champions League the last 2 years. It's been in the last 10 years. Right. In the last 10, 11 years, has been to 2 Europa League finals. Right. Where actually they gave the stat. Nobody has been in more round of 32s. Aside from taking away Sevilla, Benfica has been the club that's been in the round of 32 the most, right? Yeah. Which, whatever, take that for what you will. Not a great stat in some ways, but decent enough in others, just to show, like,
but when they see Benfica in
It's a
Europa
real
League,
team.
round 32, they go, okay, here's a team that's going to try and make a run at it. Like, whenever they talk about, here's all the clubs in round 32, we don't have enough time to talk about all the 32 teams. We're going to talk about like the top 10 Benfica's going to get named because they're a team that's going to make a run at it.
Even
But
top three. Top three, you look, Mario, really, the clubs that are out there this year, it's because Ajax isn't that great this year. Sporting isn't that great. Braga isn't, when you talk about in terms of European alert, it's maybe Marseille.
Braga
is one that you could say.
On a side note, how
Braga
I look at the
smoked.
signings that Braga made this season,
man,
and the talent they got, and I know that they have less budget, but I really think they punched above their weight on what the team they compiled. I really think so. I was like, you know what? If these guys get this team clicking, they can be fun. And my God, they've been horrific in Europe, like in terms of what they just did this past week. Domestically, how much they're choking up domestically. It's unfortunate, man. I feel bad for them. Holy cow, I was kind of hoping they'd be a bit more competitive. Like I really did. I want to win the league. I want us to win, but I love seeing a little bit more competition, especially outside the big three. I get a kick out of it because our league lacks that. And so I was like, I think this year Braga's going to put up a good fight. And my God, like they have really shat the bed so hard.
For me, like the team that I've always wanted to see edge their way into the top four is Guimarães, because I think that
the fan base is bananas and
right, and it's just also their president isn't an ass like Salvador is, right, and also the whole PSV
there's a good chance
investment.
that Guimarães could leapfrog Braga and take that fourth spot.
They're tied right now.
Yeah, they're
as of this minute, they're tied for fourth place. But to me, Mario, it's the fact that they have that the PSG, the Qatar investment in Braga. To me, just makes it like, you know what? Do I blame them for doing it from one perspective? No, because
they need the money.
But Guimarães doesn't, and look at what Guimarães is doing, right? Guimarães has made some, in terms of signings, way more low key signings, and they've paid off. Like Jota Silva from Casa Pia. Unreal signing. He was supposed to come to one of the big three, and he didn't. So even beyond that, they just picked up Nelson Oliveira, which I think is a funny signing. They have that.
It was funny seeing him. It was hilarious.
I forgot he still played. When I saw him on the bench, for a second I thought it was Paulinho. I was like, when did they sign Paulinho? And then I saw it was Nelson Oliveira. I was like, oh.
Versus Guimarães. Cynthia. I was watching with Cynthia, and she's like, oh, it's Nelson Oliveira. I'm like, oh, there's a guy that has the same name as Nelson Oliveira. She's like, no, it's Nelson Oliveira. I'm like, no, that guy's gone. And she's like, no, it's him. And I'm staring like, sweet Jesus, he's still alive. You know what I mean? Like that guy. Oh man, I had such high hopes for him back in the day. I was so excited. That's what there's these players that get burnt into your mind and like this guy's gonna be the next, for Portugal. And oh my gosh, especially World Cup, the under-20 World Cup, where he lit it up. I was so
the loans killed. That was like another Vieta loan cycle that killed him in the man's bus. But anyway, I guess
he was a part of the Jesus era, right? The 2009, or was he earlier?
No, he was part of that era. He was part of that era. I think when we had Rodrigo, Nelson Oliveira was that guy. Rodrigo was just a better player. Like you had Cardozo and Lima, Rodrigo, and then Nelson Oliveira was like the fourth string, and he could never get any minutes. That's why he started getting all the loans, and then he just could never find the right fitting. And anytime he come back, like. It's crazy how we look at our striker situation today, but
he had at least a dozen appearances. And I know he scored. I remember him scoring for Portugal. He had at least a dozen caps.
That's crazy.
But like the thing is, it was just lack of playing time. He couldn't get playing time at Benfica. Like Nelson Oliveira at that time. Let's say he was young on this Benfica squad, he'd be getting way more minutes because we don't know what the hell our striker is. Back then, when you're not dethroning Cardozo, you're not dethroning Lima. Rodrigo was lighting it out. Like it was so tough. Like that era of like prior to Lima Saviola, you know what I mean? We had this era of like strikers where you had a number one striker, number two striker, you had Jonas Mitroglou, you know what I mean? You had like just constant, and then you had always one or two young guns that were like buying to like break out, right? Now we're just begging for one consistent striker, man. Let's just get one, then get two, and then get back to having four like guys fighting for the spot.
And I think we're there right now.
We're almost there.
I think we're there right now. But anyway, I don't know. I think that we're in a good position. I think we're healthy, which is the biggest thing going into this part of the year. Ba is back. I think if Ba gets hurt, it kind of screws us, unfortunately. I really think he's the piece that holds it all together because you have so many options otherwise. But right back's the only one where you literally don't have a backup, right? Yeah. Like left back, you have, technically speaking, you have three left backs because, or you can even say 4 if you want to put Tomas Araujo there. Granted, you could put Araujo on the right back, backup kind of chart too, but I don't know. I think the good things are coming. Marcos Leonardo, like you said, Mario, he should get a start in one of these matches against Sporting Natasa, maybe. I mean, the kid
Do you
has
think there's a
the
chance
kid
he'll
plays
start against in France or no?
No, because I don't know what's going on there, but the fact that he has 4 goals. If you look at his stats, right, the only big chance he's missed, or just like even from memory, was unfortunately the biggest one in the semifinal of the Taça da Liga against Estoril, right there. But he just came on. You can't forget that the kid plays 25, like an average of like 17 or 18 minutes a game. He scores every 25 minutes he's on the pitch, at least in the league. And if you look at the one of the biggest things for a striker, and if you look at Rafa leads the league this year with big missed chances, 17 big missed chances, 17.
That's why people get so angry with him. The guy, the level of inconsistency.
And that's
when he's on, he's on.
Right. And those are the ones that are considered big chances. I think he even messes up more in terms of the assist. Granted, this season, I have to say, he's been worse this season finishing than he has. Like, his issue in the past was he would just black out and not make the right pass. Yeah. This year, I feel like in terms of that, he's been playmaking relatively well. I think he's been better. Yeah. I think this season his issue was almost purely finishing. It's not like he freezes up and loses the ball. He either makes the right pass or misses the goal, right? But in years past, his issue was he'd literally black out and do neither of those things. He wouldn't miss. He wouldn't pass it.
He just disappear. He just go.
Yeah,
that's it. He'd vanish.
That's why we put him on the back of the milk carton, Mario.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, but yeah, no, I'm curious. I'm curious about it. Let me double check one thing here. Selfishly, it's this Thursday is the match.
I want to answer Zach's question really quick.
Yeah.
I don't think we will. I think it's time. It's been 6 years. 6-7 years. I think it's time that, or maybe was it 6 or 5?
7 or 8. No, it's more than Grimaldo. And Grimaldo was like 6.5. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Rafa.
I think
he's asking if we'll renew. I don't think so. I think he's headed off either to Italy. I could see him going to Italy. I could see him going to Saudi.
Yeah.
But yeah, we brought in. There's no way he's not. There's no way he's not going to leave because we brought in so much talent. I mean, it's just a sign. We brought in Rollheiser. We brought in Prestiani. We have Neres. Neres is being played in his position. I don't know if you saw it towards the end of the game. He got played on the inside behind Marcos Leonardo.
Yeah.
That could be an option for him next year. I wouldn't knock that. I don't think he's going to renew.
No, I think if anything, the money you spend is to renew Neres, who's 26 years old. I mean, he'll be 27 in a couple of weeks, right? So he has, I think, we picked him up in 2022 for a 5-year contract. So his contract should only have, if I'm not mistaken, 3 years on it left. That's kind of the time to start renewing.
We have
once you get down to 2, you have.
This club needs to get better at what they allowed to happen with Grimaldo was criminal, in my opinion. Getting shotgunned with Gonzalo Ramos also was not a fun situation.
That was the worst. Gonzalo was worse for me.
And then you got Rafa, which will be likely, again, like I personally look at it and just, I think it was Grimaldo's time had come, but to not get money for Grimaldo, it really stunk. I think and I don't blame Rui Costa. It was a transitionary year. Basically, the final year, Lucio Fieta, he basically did all these short-term contracts with Mendy and a bunch of these guys, signed players on another 1 or 2 year type contract, and created this like bottleneck with everyone renewing all at once. And Rui Costa basically assumed that. Yes, he was part of the administration, but I think it's getting cleaned up. I'm still going to give Rui Costa benefit of the doubt. I still think he's doing a lot better. At least I feel like he's willing to invest more on the main squad and increase spots. Cox is one of these guys. He's been an odd guy for me in this season for me. I keep sounding like a broken record how many matches I missed, but
he's been playing out of position though. Feyenoord, he's been playing more of Rafa's position. Rafa's position, Roger calls it the second striker, but on paper it's the number 10, right? Rafa just presses up and he plays as that second striker. But Götze is a natural number 10, and that's where he was last year, and that's why he won the best player in the Dutch League last year, because of what he provided going forward. Not as much defensively.
I think he's having a kind of a down year. Also, just I think it's an adaptation year for him outside of the fact he's been playing out of position. Because, I mean, in terms of at Benfica, he's been playing the same position pretty much the whole season. I think there's maybe been 1 or 2 games where he's shifted up late and he's been better. But like, he still scored that banger against Vitória in the Luge, right? He was playing much better in the first couple of months of the season.
Yeah, they're strong.
But hey, these things happen. I saw he went on one of the recent breaks. He went back to the Netherlands and kind of did some training sessions over there. So clearly his head's in the right place, right? It's not like a Tarap or one of these guys that's out clubbing and partying. So at least he knows he's here to get better. He probably wants to go to a better league. Don't blame him, right? But like he's in it, and I think he'll show us next year what he means. Maybe even this season, which would be great. Casper is the same thing, right? Like Casper last year showed up late in the season. They have that big winter break.
Really lost last year, I found.
But it was
not lost, but
winter break.
There's no
him and Sheldrip, those were like, I think those are just silly purchases for Benfica in terms of an immediate impact because the kids came off of massive breaks, right? And like they kind of weren't expecting it. He was hot as can be when he came to Benfica, like 15 goals or something like that in the league.
It was like 19 goals in 19 games.
But then we barely gave him a sniff. I'll be honest. Last year,
nothing.
And Sheldrip also was too young of. I think his is an ego issue, but I think these guys this year when we signed the ones we signed this winter, I don't know why they feel more impactful so far. Also, there's a bigger need, in my opinion, to start them, and I also feel Schmidt's rotating way more this year than he was before. So I don't know, man. I'm excited. I'm actually very excited to see what the heck we're gonna do.
I was gonna say, Mario, just on that note, like I think Schmidt, in terms of the striker rotation, he's definitely rotating way more.
Yeah.
But obviously, aside from that, unfortunately, the answer is you're seeing a lot of changes in the like positioning and stuff. But like João Mario, so that's the last thing I'll say actually. Is to me, for this team to turn the page and for us to have our best 11, put Frederick where you want, put Di Maria where you want, put Neres where you want, put Rafa where you want, put Coxu where you want. You notice all these names I said were not João Mario? That's because the only place that João Mario belongs is on the bench. Yeah. You need him on the bench. If you have João Mario on the bench, that makes your starting 11 better. Fact. Yeah. It's just a fact. And hey, I'm not taking anything away from him. Great locker room, presence to have. It's just not who you need on the pitch. And also, Boris, I'm pretty sure maybe they dropped to bottom of the table, but Vizela was like 15th. I thought, no, they're last place now. Yeah, because Shav's got the win this weekend. So as of today, they were last place.
Yeah, no, again, they're not the
in the relegation zone regardless. but guess what? They were also in the quarterfinals of the Taça de Portugal, and we beat them only 2-1, and we played them at the Luge. So like again,
the other thing I add is they got 44 goals against, but we just popped 6 of them. So prior to this match going in, they had 38 goals against, which would have them, somewhere mid-table, lower mid-table for defensive side. Because they weren't letting. There's a lot of teams that were in the 40s, right? Several teams in the 40s. We destroyed them today, and we should destroy a team like that. They're not playing well. At the end, they're a bottom tier team. We should be getting the wins. I'm very happy with it. But sometimes I know it's a bottom team. You need a good spanking. You need remember when we beat Nacional 10-0? Yeah, you get these like big marquee kind of wins where it's like we spanked the team badly today. We beat them good.
Yeah, and part of me feels bad because they've also this is the third time in 2024. Not even the season, like since the start of the new year, that they've given up over 5 goals. They gave up over 5 to Sporting. Yeah. They got smoked by Oroca 5-0. So like you said, Mario, yeah, we embarrassed them today, but at the same time, who's this bigger for? Us, right? Because
you get excited. You got to get players get excited, to get energized. I'm hoping Neres has an extra hop in his step, and I'm hoping Schmidt gives him the start in France, and he's out to prove himself. And I think there's he's kind of like boxers and fighters also. If you have like a good fighter, if people watch UFC and other things of sorts, sometimes when a good quality fighter has like a bad couple losses, if they get a fight that someone they should beat and handsomely do beat them, if that's what they need to then propel them back into the kind of the contention, right? You know what I mean? So same thing with us. We got a good win. Now we need to kind of beat the French. We got to now show up in a real match, in my opinion. Yeah, well, I still say we got to celebrate it.
And I would say it's less so the win against this type of team. Like celebrating the Taça victory against them is meh because we didn't play well. Today we're celebrating the performance because regardless of who you play against, we could have played against PSG today, and if we came out like this, we would have won. We could have played against, I'm not going to say Man City, but I'm just saying that the type of performance, the level of performance today is what I'm applauding because we haven't seen it all year.
Oh, we've had games we played like total trash. against
And
weak teams.
and to talk about the starting 11 again, you had 6 subs, 6 people that aren't starters play today, and you did all this. So it wasn't like we started, Di Maria and again. Was this a better starting 11? Would I have started the starting 11? Probably more so than the other one. Yeah, but I think this is an interesting question, Jake, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts about this. One of the things I will say though is I don't think we lose. I think Kraft is definitely gone. If he resigns, I'll be shocked if he renews. Di Maria probably gone. Especially the more trophies we win, I think the more likelihood he's gone because we've seen it. Scoring a lot of goals. He wants one victory season. He still wants to go back to his old club in Argentina. So he's probably back at Rosario next year. To me, you don't lose João Neves and Antonio Silva. One or the other are gone.
It's one or the other.
You don't lose both.
Yeah.
You don't
No,
lose both. And frankly, I
hope not. I hope we don't. I put it that way. It's the buyouts. If they get triggered, then we're shotgun. We'll make a ton of cash, but I don't want that to be triggered.
And
I think Neves would be gone before Tony.
But so, are you saying because of that interview, Jake? I'm curious.
Not because of the interview, just because you don't see.
You're seeing all these like English-based articles hyping the fuck out of him.
Did you see the
I did see the interview. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I haven't seen the interview yet.
It's
so
not
they were
a great
asking him
look.
about next season. They were asking him about next season, where he's going to be, and asking him how. Well, I don't remember what the actual question, but I remember his response was, "Wherever I am next year, I'm always going to play my heart out." So it's. I don't know if he's not giving anything away, but he's saying it's possible, right?
But that's I don't know, because I look at that, and that's what makes me think, right? For a couple of reasons. One, Antonio Silva. You saw Ruben Dias. You saw Luisão. Luisão has been this reference for all academy players, in my opinion, because since they've been in the academy, he's been a Benfica, right? Basically, that's how I look at it. And even as a fan, to me, Benfica, as of right now, again, I'm not going to say don't take this too much out of proportion, but for me as a fan, when I think of Benfica, Luisão, a lot of my memories are with him.
Oh no, right? he's a club player. Like he played.
Yeah,
I see people on Twitter giving him shit, saying, he's only there taking money out of the club. He's sucking money out of the club. He's there.
I
see people.
They're just haters.
They're probably doing the same thing at their jobs too, so they can go.
Yeah, come on.
So
I think there's just some people that hate the administration. They hate the same people will hate Rui Costa, and I get because the past thing, but at the same time, people need to move on. Like I was angry with Lucia Vieira. Same time, there's been some changes. Are some of the old dirtbags there? Yes. Did some people change? Yes. Is it can you hold grudges forever? I don't know. It's not. I don't have time in my life, to be honest, to have that level of hatred. Yeah. It's not worth it.
But my thing, I would say, Jake, though, the reason why I was bringing up Luisão too and Mario was like the whole Antonio Silva thing to me. Do you guys remember when all the hype that happened when Verissimo got hurt and he got thrown into the starting role?
Yeah.
Everyone all of a sudden goes from nobody knows him to going like this against Juve to all of a sudden he gets called up to the World Cup. Every single time Antonio Silva was asked about the Portuguese national team, the Seleção, other places, that's what it should be. Right? And so the fact that he said, right, like all my focus is on Benfica, that's what I was, and that's why João Neves, I think that's what I was expecting. That's why I was a little bit disappointed with the answers, like the wherever I am. It's like, okay, João, don't promise anything. I don't blame you. And look, he's more importantly, he's giving everything that we want him to give now. He gave us half a season last year, right? We get a full season this year, so that's already more than you got out of João Felix. That's more than you've gotten out of a lot of these other players. Bernardo Silva, João Cancelo, Renato Sanchez.
Bernardo Silva didn't even get a lick of the first team. He didn't even get a taste of it. So.
Right, and so like granted his was different because it was the coach, but like Renato Sanchez is probably a better example. João Felix, these people that if they wanted to, they definitely could have stayed and they would have been starters, but they decided to put their careers first. No problem with that. What I'm hoping happens though is like, to me, Antonio Silva, seeing his attitude in the past, part of me is like, you want to sell him so he doesn't become a ferro, right? That just has this like absolute dumpster fire of a season, loses confidence, and he's done. Because this season, he's obviously not been as good as he was last year. Antonio Silva, that is. Yeah. João Neves, on the other hand, I think he's going to be João Matinho. I think he's going to have the same type of career where he plays at some great clubs, plays for the national team for a long time, great locker room presence, great mind and everything. But ultimately, I think you lose those two guys. But for me, so that's why for me, part of me is like, I'd rather keep Antonio Silva. But at the same time, when you look at your roster, we just talked about Tomás Araújo playing today, you need to keep João Neves, right? But even then in the midfield, if you lose João Neves, you have Coxtu, you have Frederick, you have Tino. So the big thing about this question.
The team is built better today. Yeah, the team's built better today to handle that. And I think it's going to come down to three things. The first one, if I go bottom top, the first one, do we win the Liga? That is going to put more spotlight on every player on our team because you're a champion. How well do you do in Europa? We knock out Toulouse. We go on then to round of 16. Then we go round of quarterfinals. We make a run. Everyone looks at Benfica. Every time that happens, we get looks. And we got the Euros this summer. If we have a good run in Europe, and now I know feel more confident in Tony Silva playing, but João Neves is doing well. It's a bit harder for him to get on the main 11.
Honestly, Mario, with the way that the rest of the Portuguese national team's been playing, I think first of all, Gonçalo Inácio, he definitely deserves a call up.
Yeah,
100%.
It's going to get it from Sporting. But in the midfield, Mateus Nunes barely playing and not playing that well in my opinion. Bruno, I haven't been watching United that much, but I haven't really heard people talking about him for good or for bad. So that's probably means it's a mediocre season.
But Joe, it's not about what he does at United. When he's on Portugal, he cooks. He's the only one that's getting goals.
Correct.
Assists.
That's true. But the whole point is who sits next to him, right?
Right.
Yeah. We'll see.
Silva's going to play in the
I think your call up also, again, I would say, did you do well domestically? The answer is yes. Good. There's a checkbox. Did you do well in Europe? And if we do well in Europa, my God, I'd love to win the damn title. Everyone would love to win the damn title. But let's hope for the best. Let's make a good run. Let's win the damn title. Then you would highly increase your likelihood of getting called up for the Euros. So if you have a trifecta where you have a good domestic, a good European campaign, then you get paid for the Seleção.
I mean,
money will come knocking for those guys. So we'll see.
The thing, me too, Mario, is when you start looking at if we get past Toulouse, obviously we really can't put our heads ahead of ourselves, right? That's a big match. You look at the clubs that are in the round of 16 waiting for us: West Ham, Brighton, Liverpool, Rangers, Atalanta, Villarreal, Slavia Prague. So, that's the one team everyone wants. And Leverkusen. The only two teams on that list are three teams on that list that I look at us and say, okay, we should probably beat them. Guaranteed. Is Slavia Prague, Rangers, because also Rangers is first in the league, so they're not giving up like they were last year and saying let's let Celtic win it. They're in first place right now by a couple points, so their league is important to them. And then maybe you could say one of those Prem clubs, like Brighton or West Ham. But the fact is, financially speaking, even Villarreal, good team, right? Liverpool, Leverkusen are two of the best teams in Europe. Top 10 teams in Europe right now. So you look at those teams, it's whoever wins this Europa League is worthy of a Champions League quarterfinal, guaranteed, probably a semifinal. You know what I mean?
Again, it's all luck of the draw, and also luck on the pitch, and we need a little bit of luck. If the team clicks, they get a good result in Europe, and they go to Porto Muniz and they and we need to get momentum. That's the one thing this season we've lacked desperately is we haven't had consistent momentum where we've been lighting it up. We had a little bit at the very beginning of the season, and that fizzled away. And we kind of joked early on in the season when we were doing shows back in the day about the fact that normally Benfica crushed in the first half and they fall asleep in the second half of the season, and we kind of said maybe it'd be great if everything clicks. These guys come back from injury and they're healthy and they got fresh legs and we got new signings and everything clicks as we get into the knockouts of Europe. Typically it's the opposite. So maybe it's a year. We'll see. I'm gonna keep holding out hope, man. In terms of next weekend, Boris, let's try and make it go.
I think so.
You think so, Joe?
For me, my next week, the weekend after, I have to work, so that's a no go. But next
week, do we play Saturday or Sunday?
It's same time, literally Sunday, same time.
Sunday 1 o'clock
Sunday against Porto Muniz.
Yeah, I think I'd be good myself personally. So
me too.
The Germans. That'd be good.
Hopefully, we can get a fourth one as well.
Same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Luis will be back, and it's an earlier show, so maybe he'll even be able. I don't want to, speak for him because I don't know what he has going on next weekend. But
he's going to France. I don't know, but he flies back usually the day after or something like that.
Because I thought I saw when he sent his ticket. I thought it was just the Friday, a quick trip.
Yeah, I think it's Friday, I think he's going to be the 14th. Be awesome, and that'll be good, man. I'm excited for him. I'm stoked that he got a ticket. That it's firmed up. Yeah.
There was some stuff too about I'm not sure if you saw Mario, but all the tickets were 40 euro for the Benfica fans because Benfica didn't lower the prices for Toulouse.
Yeah. But it was still like, it's still Toulouse. In reality, is their tickets are still quite pricey. I think like 90 euros for like a regular Toulouse ticket. Also, some of the
Really?
tickets, yeah, some of the
Oh
tickets
wow, I
cost
didn't
quite a
realize
bit.
that.
Yeah. So like, they're whatever. Now we'll see.
Yeah, Nelson, I agree. Yeah, maybe who knows? Maybe even Melo will be around next weekend. We didn't get to get in touch with him, but I know he watched today's game, or at least he was on Twitter.
He was gonna try and make it today. Again, I
Kids.
hate speaking for Melo because let's be honest, the last like several months he has been kind of gotten away. At the same time, I remember when Rui was first born. I remember when Eva was first born. That first 12 months is a blur in my life. And for anyone that's a parent in the chat and you think back to when you had kids, it's the coolest experience ever. And making any plans was outside of like stuff with your wife and your immediate parents was like near impossible. So I don't know, man. It'll be kind of cool if Melo has a bit more time. He's able to pop on a bit more. I'd love to kind of see him around a bit more. It's just at the same time, I hope no one gives him a hard time because fuck, it's the coolest thing having a kid, man. He's doing the right shit. He's being a dad, which is the coolest thing ever. So the sleep can be non-existent. Yeah, Dio. That is like fuck.
He knows.
As Cynthia says, it's still a blur. We'll see. What we gotta do is we'll get. I gotta give. Like I joked at the beginning, I'm gonna get some copies of the keys made. I'll get one to Joe. I'll get one to Jake, and that way, if old man Mario is too much of a dinosaur to get up, the show can go on. Which we need that to happen.
Yeah, but I think we're good for next week. So I mean, I'm glad we came back. Hopefully, they give us another couple of performances to be happy about next week. But
yeah.
I think we were buzzing today as well because we were all in the chat. We were like, "Oh, like playing so well! Like we're all excited for the show."
Right?
Like,
I got everyone excited. It's hilarious. If
we play like shit next week, no one's gonna want to come on.
I'll still pop on. I'll be sitting there holding the key. I'm like, "Hey guys, I didn't want the show." And like, no, it's okay. It's like, all right, well, let's
you know what I might do next week? Because I was even looking at it this week. There are a lot of interesting stats that I wanted to pull out. We might have a little nerd, as Cynthia would call it, a little nerd portion of the show. Because there's been some really, like, looking at all these young players. I haven't
done numbers in a while. I like numbers. I'm a math guy.
It's fun. Yeah, and even the biggest thing to me, and one of the things that's interesting is always seeing just like, I tend to measure impact by like, goals and assists, or like goal contributions per like 90 minutes. And it's really interesting when you start looking at a lot of these players, even Di Maria, because he's really popped off this season. Yeah. I mean, you guess what? 13 goals, 9 assists this season so far, Di Maria. I think 16's including the preseason, which, it's funny, Mario, because when we were watching the intro to the show, I forgot about some of those goals, but I'm like, you know what? When you made that, you were probably expecting Di Maria to have such a big impact on the team he has.
And he did. At the beginning of the season, he like lit it up like no tomorrow. He did a little bit less. Even lately, got 2 goals recently, right?
Last 2 games, 2 assists against Vitória to help us tie it, and against Toulouse, 2 goals, PKs. But guess what? You miss PKs and people are pissed. You make them, you're the hero. It doesn't make a difference. He has the the courage to step up and take it. So to me, he has my respect.
Oh yeah, it's like I think people shit on Di Maria. If you go by season as a player, they kind of look at what he normally has done, like by club, he doesn't generate that many goals and that many assists. You know what I mean? Like okay, this year I'm just gonna jump into numbers real quickly. Last time he scored 7 goals for a team, like let's say domestic league wise, which that's what he has so far this season. 2019-2020 for Ligue 1, he got 8 goals. So he just got to get one more. 2018-2019 was 12 goals, and that was one of his peaks. That's it. And this thing, like in the actual league itself, was 8 goals and 12 goals. 12 goals was his peak.
That's crazy.
So get a few more goals, and this is best. Like again, Di Maria is a global all-star player. Granted,
he's one of the best players in the world. In terms of like historically, the things he's won, the impacts he had, scoring in the Olympic final, Copa America final, World Cup final. There are a few players you can say have been as impactful as Di Maria on the global stage.
Yeah, and I just saw a video on them.
Yeah,
I just saw a video on Di Maria.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think Messi's a phenom. What he's done is amazing, but it kind of created a big shadow and hid how great Di Maria is. And same with it's amazing. And Miguel, I'm pretty sure he reached out to us on Twitter. I will say this again. I was feeling very guilty of the fact that a lot of people were reaching out about a show, and I was just like, I don't know, maybe we just call it a day. We've had a good run. We've been at this for many years. Let's do a final goodbye show, and then here we are lining up a next show for tomorrow or for next weekend. And the show will go on. The show's going to go on. You guys are fun. That's the reality.
Yeah. I mean, it's like seeing D in the chat again. Boris, of course. It's been a while. Miguel, Nunu Nelson. I mean, Zach. A lot of the people we talk to, Greg, we see him on Twitter. Carlos, too, is pretty active on Twitter. But it's fun. It's different when you're in the chat, you know?
Yeah. It was kind of bugging me for a while, and it was one of these things where it's like I felt bad that the show wasn't continuing. I was like, "Fuck it." And me and Joe chatted a bit. We're like, "We got to make a shot. They can't keep this lingering." And Jake jumped on, which I really appreciate. And we'll do it again next weekend. We'll repeat it next weekend.
I'll be
go
here.
from there. And
let's do it.
Yeah. Well, and now watch. We just fucking kill it every single match, and we could take all the glory and credit. Right? That rough patch was just
the Europa League final.
Fuck. I'll celebrate that from Hawaii. All right. Peace, guys.
Take care, guys.
What am I going to end with? I haven't done this in ages. I need a proper outro.
You know what?
You're going to get this.
Over $1.2 trillion